Wow. Hello, everyone. Hello, Thrivers. And today is beautiful. It's a couple of days after my birthday, and I'm so blessed to have one of my very best friends in the whole world, uh, Trinidad and Tobago's first female airline captain, Captain Wendy Yawching, here with us today. And we're going to have a wonderful conversation. I am pretty sure, because we've been friends for such a long time, that we're going to have to invite her back. But today is let's just say today is part one. Okay.
Mhm.
So welcome, Captain Wendy Yawching. How are you today?
Christine, I am wonderful, and it's a pleasure to be with you again.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. What I haven't said as well is that Wendy is also a master feng shui consultant. And we're going to have, for all of you who love feng shui or have never heard about feng shui and you've always been curious, today you're going to learn quite a bit. And what you're also going to be excited about is what is on the cards for 2026, the year of the fire horse. But we'll get right into that in a little bit. Wendy, for those who don't know you, and of course, I've already told them about your career as a female airline captain, in fact. Tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an airline captain.
Well, Christine, that was a long journey, you know that.
Yes,
How much time do we have?
only about 30 minutes.
Oh boy. I was a little girl growing up in Trinidad at a time when girls didn't do things like that. Boys did things like that. And so I bucked the system, I broke the rules, I followed my heart. And it took many, many, many years before I was able to actually be a pilot of any kind in little tiny airplanes, then proceeding to bigger airplanes, bigger airlines, and eventually the crown, of course, to be the captain of a 737 jet at BWIA and Caribbean Airlines. And for me, I was following my heart, which of course I believe we should all do. And for others, I was breaking the glass ceiling and becoming a role model and an icon, but that was not my motivation. I was simply following my heart. And I'm so glad that I was able to do that. I was so glad I was able to live my dream and then at the appropriate time to let it go.
Well, that's interesting because the difference between a career in aviation and becoming a master feng shui consultant is so vast that that's just like an ocean apart, even more. What what helped you to make that decision to become a master feng shui consultant?
Christine, I'd have to say there's so many parts and layers in all of us. And when I was a pilot, I was following my heart and I was expressing one big side of myself, which is the side that likes to fly like an arrow, to go from A to B, destination, to have a plan, to have backup plans, the very left brain side of me. And
Correct.
that side, though, I knew all along was not the only side. There was another side of me that was creative and artistic and wanted to do non-practical things or non-tangible things and pursue, inner work, personal development and growth and spiritual healing, etc. And that side of me, I decided when I stepped away from flying to explore that side, expand that side, get those muscles stronger. And that feng shui was what was the tool that got me to do that. I tried other things and I settled on feng shui, and then I found that it opened those pathways in my brain and my insides, my spaces, beautifully. And so feng shui is my tool for elevating the energy of my life and the life of people that I work with or I play with.
Wow. And guys, I have had the distinct privilege of experiencing Wendy's gift. I have to call it a gift, in terms of how she helps people to transform their lives on the basis of energy and the principles of Feng Shui. And of course, there are many forms of Feng Shui, but something that you said there, Wendy, that really jumped out at me, a couple of things actually. You talked about there are many sides to you. And of course, like you, there are many sides to many people. We are all multidimensional. Do you think a lot of people appreciate that and that they take the time to internalize that and explore those opportunities?
Christine, I hope so, but I think a lot of people are afraid to. I think a lot of us are trained from young to go in one direction or the other. I know I surely was in school, trained into, following the science path, for instance, and dissuaded from following the creative artistic path. And so we get channeled from, with our school system, we get molded by our family of origin, and then the people that we share our lives with later on who prefers to be like this or like that. And I think a lot of us are afraid then to dive in and open up the Pandora's box of all the levels and all the things that you really are that make up the richness that each of us is. And so I hope that more and more people are doing that. But I know that there are many people who need help. And I guess that's where you come in with what you do. And that's where I come in with what I do.
Yeah, I'm so in agreement with that, like 1000%, because for those of you, and we haven't touched on this yet, we'll get to that shortly. Wendy is also the author of her first and not last book. It's called The Courage. It's called The Courage to Fly. She's an adventurer. We'll talk about Mount Everest in a little while. She also serves on the board of Yahweh, and that's all about nature and preservation. So Wendy is truly multi-dimensional. And you also mentioned, Wendy, about using those muscles. And in your daily life, I know that you have a practice because, again, I've been blessed to be in Wendy's space and experience just what her day looks like. Wendy, tell us in a just short way, what does your morning look like? Because it's very structured, and I love the way you just you welcome the day. So tell us a little bit about that, because in there's some muscles and it's all about well-being.
Definitely, but I feel a little bit you put me on the spot here, girl.
Well, you don't have to tell us all of your inner secrets, Wendy.
This is my personal and private space.
That's okay. You could just, well, I know you do exercise on a daily basis, so we
Yeah,
could talk
yeah.
about the importance of exercise.
No, I'm shifting, and moving some of my little boundaries here for you. Uh, but just know it's because it's you. So I generally start my day with an hour of gratitude, prayer, and meditation. And it takes me about an hour because there's so much to be grateful for. And then I want to, do the prayer and do the blessings and send prayers out to all the people in my life and the creatures in my life that I love, and meditate for myself. So when regardless of how the previous day might have gone, when I have done that ritual, I call it, every morning, and because I'm retired from a 9 to 5, structured job, I can take that time for myself. I know a lot of people can't. When I'm finished with that ritual, however I came in, I am so much better coming out. So that fires me up with the proper balance of joy and power to take care of whatever comes my way that day. And of course, we all know life has its ups and its downs,
Oh,
and some days
yes.
are easy and some days are not. For all of us, for all of us. And then I do my yoga stretches. That's another little routine. And then I take my dogs out into the bush to have their little yoga stretches run. And then I come back and before I take the dogs out, I have my morning brew and look at the view, which is spectacular in my home.
Spectacular.
I look at the
Spectacular.
view and I say thanks again for being in such a beautiful place. And then I take my dogs out for their walk. And when I come back, that's when I start my working day, whatever is on the list. And so I feel, yeah, it is a flow that I've created for myself that makes me feel wonderful to go forward and do whatever the chores are or the obligations are for that day. And as I said, we know that there are days that are full of good stuff and days that are full of challenges. And we all have that. But I start off with that, and it makes me feel that I'm able to give my best self to whatever comes.
And that's like a flow, it's the ability to flow like water and just move around challenges and celebrate all of the wonderful blessings in your life. And I do something similar, you know that. Um, and it really does take me about an hour, so about the same. As a matter of fact, just before this call, a friend from, oh my God, I can't tell you how long. It's probably more than 40 years. And she called me for something. And when I answered, she said, it's one thing when every single time I call, you are so happy. But she caught me just as I had just finished my prayer, meditation, worship, and I will do my exercises after our call. But it's so important that you make that time. And guys, even if it's not an hour, but even if it's 5 minutes, just that opportunity to ground yourself is so vitally important. I want to jump back a little bit, Wendy.
I'd
Yes,
like to,
please.
I'd
Yes,
like to say something on that. So I am privileged because I'm retired many years now, and I can choose how I fill my day. Many people, especially people that come to me or come to Christine, don't have that privilege because their lives, they're in the middle part of their lives. They have kids, they have jobs, that they have to be, on the road at 8 in the morning, and you just don't have that time. And I understand that. And I wouldn't have had that time either when I was checking in for a 4:30 a.m. flight, believe me.
I'm
So this is
telling you.
this is a privilege I have because I am retired and able to craft my day. And and when you can, you can. So if you, as Christine says, if one can do only 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the prayer, meditation, blessing, of your exercise, your yoga, whatever it is that gives you grounding, balance, and connection with your divine spirit, do it, because that flavors your day. That permeates you when you go out to engage your day. I call that changing the chi in feng shui words, changing the energy that's inside of you. And that helps in any interaction, any situation in your day.
Oh my goodness. Wendy, I just got, as you said, changing the chi, I kid
Yes.
you not, I just got chills all over my body. I know what you do with, and you've got a retreat coming up in January that I'm going to be privileged to be a part of. Tell us a little bit more about feng shui, the chi, this upcoming retreat, and next year, 2026, the year of the fire horse. I'm so excited.
Okay. Feng Shui is a very, very old, thousands and thousands of years old Chinese philosophy. It's a way of life for many people from that part of the world. And in recent centuries, it's migrated over to the West, and now it's part of many people's lives, regardless of location. And in that expansion, feng shui changed so that there are many forms of feng shui, just like there are apples and mangoes and many types of feng shui. And people can often get confused because they read one thing in a book and then they heard somebody else talking a different type of approach to it. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's like apples. They're all apples. The purpose of feng shui, wherever it is, whatever school of feng shui you like or follow or you hear about, is always the same. Is to elevate the chi in a situation, in a space, or to enhance the lives of the living bodies or beings in that space. And so feng shui is all about changing the energy of a situation to make you live your best life. And any form of feng shui that is a valid form of feng shui, that is the end goal, regardless of the journey. And so in my approach to feng shui, I believe that our life fulfillment or success comes from a balance or harmony between our inner chi, our personal energy, and the outer spaces that we occupy, and our relationship to those spaces and to the people and creatures that live in those spaces. In other words, I believe there's a constant interaction of energy between me and Christine right now,
Yes.
and me and my space right now. You see where I'm sitting. It's curated carefully because it has a wonderful feel, has a wonderful energy, and that energy feeds me, makes me feel good, and therefore I can therefore communicate with you and Christine in this way. So it's this constant interaction of energy, and I love it. I love it because Feng Shui gives us the tools or the understanding to do that, to set things up so that it feeds us, and then we can keep feeding the world. So my mission, since I've become a Master Feng Shui Consultant, is to use that to make myself as well as possible so I can feed the world energetically. And when I offer my trainings, hold on, there was a call trying to come through and I'm not taking it. So let's try that again. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. When I offer my trainings, all of them have the same goal, to give you the tools to change your energy in your space or in your life, to enhance your personal chi so you can go out and do your best, or you'll have your best life. The Energy Vision Board experience that's coming up in mid-January, January 15th to 18th, 2026, is like my best and most wonderful, transformative, life-changing program. It is my signature package. And that is a session in which people come to me because they are either stuck, they are afraid of exploring themselves, they want their life to change, but they don't know how. Their life is changing and they don't know how to deal with it. Perhaps you're retiring, perhaps your kids have left, perhaps your home situation has changed. They're dealing with issues of any kind. They come to me because they want to reconnect with what's important and learn to dream again. And that, of course, when you learn to dream again, you get hope again and you get courage again. And so it changes your chi, your energy. So again,
Of
we're doing
course.
that. We back to the same thing, changing your energy. From that program, you come out transformed, you come out with energy, you come out with positivity, optimism, hope, courage, and a vision board that helps you keep that, and a plan to help you action it. And so I consider it a hugely important yearly practice. I offer it every year, and usually the beginning of the year. And this year, even more importantly, it is a year that requires us to go inside and connect and clear the clutter and recreate and rebloom, because this year is the year of the young fire horse, as Christine has said. Now, what does that really mean in feng shui speak? Every year in feng shui has a different energy. There are 60 cycles of energy. And every year we have either yin or yang, and we have an element, and then we have an animal. And it turns out that this year is the first time in 60 years that we have the energy of the yang fire horse returning to us. Yang means big energy, powerful energy. And fire, of course, you understand what that means. Fire means passion and heat and transformation and cleansing and change and creation and destruction. Nobody says fire is always peaceful, right?
Right.
And the horse is a very powerful animal that brings movement and dashing and galloping and power. And it's also the element that runs the horse internally is fire. It's a pure fire animal. So we have big fire in 2026 for feng shui people. That's how we see it. Big fire, and a lot of movement and change and power. So I highly recommend that if you can, find a way to prepare yourself and your space to support you in this very powerful fire year. You'll be doing yourself a blessing. Whatever your choice of preparation is, know that the energy of 2026 is going to be huge. For it can be a good energy or it can be a very powerful, damaging energy. You want to be prepared, you want to be powered up, you want to be strong, you want your space to support you in the best possible way so that whatever the young fire horse brings your way, you are able to deal with it from your best and most powerful, prepared self. That's why I think this workshop is particularly important.
Yeah, because I was also doing some research the other day, and I noted that this is not the first fire year. So this started, what, a year or two ago, was it, Wendy?
Ah, the Christine, you're actually very correct. the period 9, that's another aspect of feng shui. Period 9, which are 20, multi-year periods, 20-year periods. Period 9 started in 2023, and this is the second year of period 9. And that adds, period 9 is all about fire. So we have a third layer of fire
Wow.
coming on. Yes. Yeah.
I'm
I
get
should say,
I'm
sorry, let me correct. Period 9 started in 2024. 2026 is going to be the second year. My mistake. But it means that we have another layer of fire because the entire bucket of 20 years is a fire energy building. But
oh
2026 is going to be the strongest fire power. Yeah.
wow.
Mhm.
And so, I'm definitely going to be at that retreat. I've, Wendy, how long has it been since I've been with your retreats? I think, oh, we started quite a few years ago, right?
Yes.
Just and folks, it was for me, it was going in and as an event manager with a dear friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, who's now transitioned on. It was just going in and then just seeing what people were doing, the true blessing that Wendy was bringing to these lives, men and women. And then every year, just one year after the other, engaging myself and learning more. And I'm really excited about this session because it really means that there's so much, and we can see actually if we look at what's even happening now as we move out of 2025 into 2026, we can feel, some of us can feel the difference. We know something is happening. I think as energetic beings, we do have a sense, but because we've been so programmed to just focus on the brain, we don't focus on the heart and the internal energy that we have this knowing, this intuition. What do you say to that?
I thought it was a good moment to have a sip of bush tea
with
in
your
my
fire, with your
in my
fire cup.
my hummingbird cup. It matches my dress. I love it. So yeah. Christine, we have been trained and programmed to disregard what we can't see and touch and feel physically.
Yes.
And and it's usually life makes us open up and become more accepting of the energetic importance of our, the energetics of things. So yeah, our job is to help people, guide them and support them as they do that transition.
Yeah.
The the I know you personally have had some very interesting experiences in the vision board workshops when you have attended. And folks, Christine has attended them to the point where now she is a super experienced vision board person and she is one of my facilitators in the program. So if you love Christine, come and see her doing stuff.
I love
Yeah.
I love learning more. It's not something I imagine myself continuing in on my path. I love this grand intersection of Wendy's purpose and my purpose. This has been such a beautiful, blessed compliment. I have to tell you all, Wendy is my best friend. And in your life, if you have friends that you can open up to, and who's wise and people who are wise, Wendy is wise. And I'm just gonna say it here. I just love Wendy to pieces, okay? So so Wendy, now let's take a little step back because earlier you mentioned that you are an author, you're an adventurer, and I dropped a word there about Everest, Mount Everest. Tell us the story. I love hearing it every time. Tell us the story of Mount Everest, Wendy.
I can tell you it's in the book.
It's in the book, The Courage to Fly.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so the short story is I'm a hiker I love hiking and I'll hike until my legs no longer allow me to. And you didn't mention I was a dancer. Anyway, let's talk about the hiking. So when I was younger, many, many years ago, I decided I was going to hike all the major mountain ranges of the world at least once. And Mount Everest, of course, came up. So off I went, having trained for months. And I was with a part of a group that did the walk to Everest Base Camp. And this was a big deal at that time. Now, of course, a lot of people have been doing it and it's much more popular. At that time, it was a very big deal. And I was the first Trinidadian on the trail with a bunch of people from other parts of the world. And as we walked up the trail, people were dropping by the wayside due to altitude sickness,
Right.
which and my some of my group dropped off by the wayside due to altitude sickness. And at 14,000 feet, I dropped by the wayside due to altitude sickness. And I had to stop and wait and lie down and try to get better. And my group continued without me. And as I got better, because if your body adjusts to the altitude over
Yes.
time, and as I got better, I decided, well, I think I'm going to just keep going up the hill and see if I catch them. So I hired a porter, and me and my Sherpa ran up the mountain. And we actually got to where I could see Mount Everest Base Camp 100 feet higher than we were,
Oh,
and
wow.
about 5 hours walk away. And it was sunset, so we had to make camp, so we couldn't go till tomorrow. But we actually were within reach of it. And I was feeling really strong and powerful because now my body was acclimatized. I almost felt like I lived there in the mountains, right? And then out of the darkness or the twilight, we saw a bunch of people coming down the mountain, and it was my group.
Oh,
And
no.
they were coming out because one of the girls was so sick with altitude sickness that she was probably going to die if they didn't get her down the mountain to where her body could handle it. And I had a choice at that moment. The sun is setting, they're walking down. They asked me if I would come with them. And I had to decide if to continue my dream of touching base camp the next morning or to come down with my group. And to get the answer, you'll have to read the book.
To get the answer, to see if she went all the way up, you've got to read the book. It's
Yeah.
called The Courage to Fly. And as we're about to wrap up, Wendy, you do some phenomenal work with some amazing people out there in Tobago with the Yahweh Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm so proud and honored to be on the board of directors of Yahweh Foundation Tobago. It is not an environmental organization. It's actually an organization that takes care of um, children that have challenged backgrounds in Trinidad and Tobago,
Right.
coming from they are coming from difficult situations, including abuse, poverty, etc.
Right.
And like the elderly people of Tobago who, when Yahweh began, were locked at home, in a chair, stuck at home in a chair watching TV, maybe holding a grandkid, but basically their life was very empty and waiting for their children or to come home from work. And Yahweh decided to make those elderly people have rich and fulfilling community connected lives. And boy, have they succeeded. They are the most lively bunch of elderly people you'll ever meet in the Caribbean, I think. And they're busy having bake sales and breakfasts and teas and lunches and writing politicians about things that they want to change and kicking up a storm, planting organic gardens, etc. And there's an interaction between, we call it intergenerational interaction between the elderly people and the young people. And the young people start from 6 years old and go up to high teens, and some of them are now in their 20s. And they should have graduated from Yahweh years ago and they refused to leave. So we now have some of their kids coming to Yahweh as babies, toddlers.
Oh,
So Yahweh is a very important community service. It's an NGO, and I'm proud and honored to be a part of it. And my portfolio is the environmental director. So the programs that we offer or do are to generate environmental awareness in Tobago, not just through our people at Yahweh, but in Tobago in general. So as you know, I ran a program for the schools in Tobago
yes.
a couple of years ago, and it was wonderful. Yeah, we're waiting for funding to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Everything requires funding. I mean, and it's really very meaningful work when you can impact both the more mature people and the young people. There's so much wisdom to be shared. There's so much energy on the young people. They share their energy. And so it is a beautiful combination. So as we wrap up, Wendy, um, what would be your message for everyone transitioning out of the year 2025 into 2026 and how they can, because there's so many things happening in our space, in our environment, off our coasts, that, you know, how do you deal with this from a perspective of taking care of your own wellness? And then because you've grounded yourself, that you're able to, support your family and all of those around you that you love. What would be your message?
Christine, that's a big question. A
I
big
know.
question. I will give my best guidance, but everyone's journey is different.
Yes.
I believe it starts with your personal energy, your inner chi,
Yes.
and to to be your best that way. You go within and basically you pray. Whatever your path to the divine is, you pray and you connect with the divine energy that is everywhere and it is in yourself. Know that that's who you are. You are a divine and a spark of the divine in a
Yes.
human body. Know that. If you know that, then you will find the courage, the strength, the joy, and the love to deal with your life in a different way. It starts there for me, and I believe for everyone.
Wow. Thank you, Wendy. That, and on that note, that is a powerful way to end this conversation. Captain Wendy Yawching, it's been, I feel your passion. I continue to get chills. I love, love, love. We're going to get her back because I want to learn in our next conversation, maybe in a couple of months' time, Wendy. I want to learn and help share a little bit more about yin energy, yang energy, more about feng shui, and how this is helping to transform the lives of so many people. You've done your program for years, and folks, I have seen those people literally bring out their desires, share with confidence over time. And I've seen the changes, and there are many blessings out there. So, Wendy, thank you, thank you, thank you again for joining us today. I love this conversation, and God bless you.
God bless you, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you.